Welcome everyone to OnPodcast, the On Microsoft podcast, where we talk about Microsoft stuff on a podcast. And I am out in the field again, as you can see from my background, or probably tell from my audio a little bit. But it had to be done. I'm your co-host today, Kareem Anderson, joined by the world's greatest co-host.
Or if Bacchus.
Yeah, and we're here to bring you the Windows news for the week, or the Microsoft news for the week. We got a ton of stuff. We'll try and get through as much of it as we can in our allotted time with you guys. We'll start off kind of just going over the rundown of some of the things we have on the docket, which starts with Windows 11 inbox app updates. We got those, I think, 2 days ago,
Yeah,
yesterday.
this is just like a couple of apps that Panos teased, but me and you were just talking on off mic about it. We didn't get the big alarms clock app update, but we did get some updates for the snipping tool, calendar, calculator, and mail apps that you guys might want to know about.
Yeah. Then we get to move on to the real fun stuff, which is hardware rumors. As we kind of dovetail into October, early fall-ish, where we're expecting a Surface event, despite limited chip supply. We have some rumors running about some new hardware designs, some potential new categories for Surface devices. We'll cover those in a little bit.
And then we also have to go back and readdress the PrintNightmare situation.
Wah,
Now,
wah.
I'll add the scary music like we did the last time around because
Yeah.
this is not going away from Microsoft. They did issue a patch which tried to address it, but there is another issue with that patch that security researchers just found, and we'll get you up to speed on that.
Yeah, and then we get into our favorite section, which is the fast recap, where we're shaving ourselves down by a few minutes. We're going from 10 minutes, so hopefully 8 minutes to maybe 6 minutes. But we'll be going over actually a multitude of things. We have the revamped Fluent designs. We have some news about that. Some Microsoft developers are coming and talking about that and kind of what we should expect in Windows 11.
And then we also have a new app to make Windows 11 look like Windows 10 for some reason, if you want that.
Yeah, it's those old start guys from the Windows 8 days. They're back with new apps for you guys. Then we also have Microsoft acquiring an Israeli video stream company this time. Normally, what comes out of Israel is cybersecurity. We have video streaming this time, and it's for enterprise, which is kind of a surprise since we have Teams already. But we'll talk about what this could mean in the future.
And then we also have a new, not new, but a new rumor about a new thing in Windows that could be coming to Windows 11 about hiding the recommended section of the Windows 11 start menu.
Yeah, for all of you who hate advertisements, we're talking about you, Paul Thurrott. Microsoft might have heard your prayers. And then we have our final section, which is the week ahead.
Yeah, and for a week ahead, ZTE sent us the Axon 30 smartphone for review. It's basically the budget-friendly version of the Galaxy S21. We'll be reviewing that in the coming weeks ahead. And then we also have some more fallout from Print Nightmare that we think will be coming up as well. And you usually have your hardware reviews as well.
Yeah, and I got to actually start writing them up because I'm just sitting on a ton of stuff. But I actually got a new device, and it's called the BP Pro Heart Monitor, I believe. It's actually a smartwatch that I'm testing out. It has an app for Android. They have a website that you can go to on Windows, and it's just basically kind of testing out to see for those who might have heart issues, sleep apnea, some more critical conditions, if this is the smartwatch for you.
And that said, let's get it here for what everyone came for, which is the Windows 11 inbox app updates. We were just talking off camera again about this, and you have the new apps on your PC. But being the person that I am, I don't have it yet, even though I did go to the Microsoft store and check for updates, but it's not on my system.
Yeah, for those of you who are new to the podcast, new to the publication, and new to the two of
Uh,
us, a little history is that RF back in the day wrote a pretty critical review of the Surface Pro X, and we think he might be blacklisted a little bit,
yeah,
at
probably.
least when it comes to some of these updates. But in his defense, he's not missing much, and neither are you if you don't have it yet. These are super subtle updates to the inbox apps, and only to a handful of them. We didn't get anything new for photos. We didn't get anything new for the media player, I guess, which used to be formerly known as Groove or Xbox Music or whatever. So some of the bigger apps that you would expect new design to come to haven't. I mean, essentially, what you got was some rounded corners. Once again, for the calculator app, you do get a consolidated experience when it comes to snip and sketch. What they've done is they've combined both the functionality and the code from your snipping tool originally, the 132 version, and brought over the canvas that you edit in from the snip and sketch. So you get the best of both worlds essentially. And a cool, nice design. What else? Well, we also got calendar and mail. We'll show you some if we can get some screenshots of those. Again, super subtle, not a bunch to kind of run home to, rounded corners on the content on the inside of the app. Because right now, a lot of apps are being forced into rounded corners,
Yep.
but some of the UI within the app itself is still very much flat and fluent design. So, or at least old fluent. We'll get into new fluent in a little bit. But yeah, old fluent design. So, Microsoft's slowly dragging its butt along when it comes to this design stuff.
Is it designed to like make Windows 11 look more fluent? I know they had a video, a Windows developer video, where what is the name? Kevin Gallo was talking about how they're trying to get developers on board with all of the new design elements of Windows 11. So are they trying to like set a standard here where they're like, this is how our flagship apps look. Now you can make apps that look the same way.
I mean, if I had to guess, and that's what I do on this podcast all the time, yes, it's exactly what they're doing. I mean, and they're also doing it in the least function heavy apps up
Yeah.
front. And like, the only thing that kind of worries me is they did this before with Metro. Usually the apps that aren't super intensive are the apps that they designed first, and then what they fail to do afterwards, add the functionality back into it, or at least show app developers who are pretty savvy on how to take these design languages, these design hints, and add them to super dense, super heavy apps. So like I said, I want them to bring over the rest of the functions for Outlook into this new mail app. Make it show to developers, hey, if you have a content dense heavy app, this is what it could look like. These are all the submenus. These are all the ways that the animations can flow from one thing to the next, to the next, to the next, versus these super basic. Here's a clock app, and now your text font looks a little nicer, and the corners are a little more rounded.
Despite rounded corners, there are people out there who think the app is still horrible. Our old friend Joe Finney, he just tweeted me a couple hours ago, and he said the mail and calendar team need to get their heads out of the sand and make the app good. So many issues with mail, and then he's like all caps, so many issues. So rounded
Uh,
corners are not solving all of the problems, but
no,
it is a small step forward.
yeah, and I'm not here to defend Microsoft whatsoever, because he's got very valid points in his arguments. I also just want to note that again, if he's having issues with this, Microsoft does offer like three other
Three
versions
other
of
ways to get your
mail
mail.
clients. So if he wants to, he can just wait for Outlook or Exchange to start getting more design elements, or the PWA to bring over more functionality, or for the inbox client to get more functionality. Like I said, there are many ways to get your email fix, Joe.
But moving along, this inbox app updates are coming to Dev Channel Windows Insiders only. But they did release a beta build also on top of the Dev Channel build. Same build for both branches, and the build comes with some small fixes here and there. And there's nothing much new in it other than some improvements for the Teams chat app, which I just wrote about last week, saying it wasn't fully featured, and all of a sudden now I have they're updating the app with features. The Teams app got the ability to create and join meetings, change your mic and speaker settings, manage meeting info, share your screen, see participants, add meeting participants, chat, and see people's video as well. So if you're a Windows Insider running Windows 11 on the Dev channel, the Teams app is picking up some big updates for you.
Yeah, that is a lot. So I hope Rabia thinks the world of you for adding that because we love to get our little bits of Teams information in on the podcast when
Now,
we can.
why don't you get us into what everyone probably also came here for? Because we put a thumbnail in the video of a concept for the Surface Book 4, but apparently Surface Book 4 might not be a thing, and we might get Surface Laptop Pro or Surface Laptop Studio instead.
Yeah, we've been writing about this for about at least really heavily for this week about patents that came in, concepts that are being fleshed out, and then rumors. Our friends over at Windows Central, I believe yesterday came out with a rumor, yet as of right now, but they do have some sources that they've been speaking with, and they're usually pretty good on that about Microsoft pivoting from the Surface Book to this new form design. And for those of you who are listening, I will try and describe it as best I can. It is, if you've ever seen the Sony Vio Duo, or I believe the new HP, the name escapes me right now. It's one of the latest HPs that has basically what it is. It's what would have been a detachable with a keyboard cover that basically keeps the entire thing melded together.
Kind of like
Uh,
an iPad Pro with Magic Keyboard, if you think about it.
that's probably the best
Yeah,
description, yeah. Except that you can't detach it; you won't be able to
yeah,
take the screen
yeah,
off. So that's basically what their entire story is about. Again, Windows, not to misquote, hopefully not misquote or misrepresent Windows Central's reporting or our very own. The only thing that's been concrete about it, is, or at least about this rumor, is that it won't be a detachable like the Surface Book used to be.
yeah.
I have one right here, and this thing has been kind of controversial. One because of the gap that you guys can see.
Yep.
This fulcrum hinge has been an issue, and the super complex engineering behind it has also been an issue for some people who want just to keep the dedicated GPUs at all times, keep the battery life and everything. And everyone kept just saying like, if you didn't make it a detachable, then you could do all of the pro stuff like a MacBook Pro would do, or a Dell XPS 15 or something like more heavy duty gaming PCs and things like that. Microsoft had for three iterations of the Surface Book has stuck by the fulcrum hinge and the way that they designed it. But the folks at Windows Central believe that this year they may pivot away from that for this new iPad Pro-esque Magic Keyboard design for the device to keep it all together, not detachable. And with that, with the new design, we'll be able to add more battery, beef up the graphics performance, enlarge the screen, uh, increase the size of the trackpad, and also perhaps play around with these new. I believe that they're talking about haptics in the screen and in the trackpad. So there's a lot that can be going on into this if this were to come true.
And there's also the part of it where they talked about how what was it that they said about how it also will have the new NVIDIA graphics inside
NVIDIA
rather
graphics, yeah.
than so you're beefing up the Surface. Well, they specifically said they don't know what it's going to be called. They thought it would be called the Surface Laptop Pro or Surface Laptop Studio because obviously here Microsoft is going for putting GTX graphics inside and beefing up the thing so you could turn it into a full-on like editing machine. But do does it really make sense to shake up the lineup this much? Is it something that the fans wanted for a long time, or is it just something that they're trying to do something different from what they have in the past? To like when the Surface Book first came out, it was so mind blowing to see the screen come off the computer. So are they trying to re-innovate the whole category here and do something different, like Panos is known for?
Well, I mean, as we try and remind all our viewers that these products are 5 years in development.
Yeah.
As much as we would like to credit the pandemic, I mean, well, I take that back. Nobody likes to credit the pandemic. As much as the pandemic can be attributed to a lot of new designs and considerations by companies, I believe that if this were true, this new Surface Studio thing is a compromise for people who want a Surface Pro, a portable Surface Pro, but with the design and prowess of a Surface Studio for design aspects, for video editing, for on-the-go drawing, things like that. Like you can do a lot of that with the Surface Pro, but can't push it as hard as you can because of its limited form factor. And it's Service Pros have been known not to have NVIDIA graphics cards, which you need for heavy video editing and anything that
Right.
requires heavy GPU usage. And the Surface Laptop is not for that. That's more for people like us who do writing, executives who need to just review and sign documents and review and sign PowerPoints and PDFs and Excel. So this new form factor would be for those who are in content creation, who are heavy uses of macros, who are using 200 point or 200 page PowerPoint presentations to put together, using Adobe heavily, AutoCAD, all that kind of stuff. This would be that device. So, I mean, in theory, you would have the Surface Pro 7 for perhaps students or your average user, the laptop for people who don't want that form factor, particularly who just want a
Yep.
bigger screen and a keyboard that's always attached. And then you would start to break down into the Surface Pro, Surface Laptop Studio for your MacBook Pro equivalent. And then you'd have hopefully at some point the Surface Studio 3, which would be your all-in-one. So Microsoft's working their way up the chain slowly, I think.
And there was a person who had a concept of how this would look like. All of what we're saying is based off of a patent that Microsoft put out. Well, not Microsoft put out, the patent office put
Yeah,
out
they
back in July. But
yeah.
this person, Ryan Smalley, he's the one who had this concept before the patent even came around, and that
Well,
is the photo that we have in the thumbnail, and what we're also showing here right now over the video as B-roll.
yeah, and like we said, we want to credit not only Ryan, but I believe that again his design and concepts came out
Four, yeah.
uh, before this patent was revealed and before yesterday's talks about Surface Laptop Pro. And I would say again, there are other designs out here. Maybe or if we can put them in the B-roll of actual devices that have already tried or have already experimented with this form factor. Maybe not to
Yep.
the degree in the quite of the same type of surface engineering that we've come to know, but there are examples already in the field. People can go out and buy these devices that we believe Microsoft is going to try and perhaps get, you know, uh, popularized in the coming years. Because again, there is, I think, a market for this design, especially again if we don't have to worry about taking off the top of the tablet and only having an hour or two of battery life and then charging both pieces in order to have a full thing. You can just plug it in, and if you need to flip the entire thing over and have the same slim form factor, but not have to touch the keys that we're all used to when you
Yep.
do like a
Uh,
Lenovo Yoga or something
Yep.
like that. So I think there's merit to it. I would love to test it out if it's true. If not, then I will see if I can get my hands on an HP and tell you guys how that one is.
And then they also need a flagship device to sell Windows 11 on. And we know that Panos is all about coming up, like I said, with revolutionary devices. He had the Duo, and then he put the laptop, and then he did the Surface Pro, and he's always iterating on that. So it would make sense for Microsoft to come up with a new form factor or a new design to sell Windows 11, which is new. They want the hardware to match up with the software.
Well, and then again, you're totally right on that, and I second that. And as I was mentioning earlier, if this thing does implement haptics in the screen, this is on
Yep.
par with what Microsoft said they wanted in Windows 11 as far as pen support. Now, including that. Oh, and that was the other thing that's part of Windows Central's rumor is that they may be redesigning the Surface Pen, perhaps
Yeah.
including that within the pen and not so much on the screen's hardware. Again, because you have so many different fail points if you do it on just the screen itself. So maybe they work in conjunction, or maybe this is something that they will be able to backport to other Surface devices just through the pin. And if you buy the new Surface Laptop Pro, you'll have both in the screen and in the pin for greater uh, density and texture for people who again use the pin all the time.
Again, all just rumors for now, but
Very much rumors.
we're
So much
hoping
salt
so
on
much
these
salt and
rumors.
grain and rice and everything, and a needle in a haystack here. But we do hope that it comes to life and it becomes official in October. And Windows Central has a very good track record when it comes to these things, so it's more than likely like this would end up being very true.
Yeah, in some form or another. Maybe it won't launch until the end of winter or something. It may
Yeah.
be delayed, but I mean, we expect some new type of Surface device in the coming months.
Exciting times are ahead. We're approaching Techtober. It's already August.
Yeah, so I mean, get your pockets ready for a Duo, whatever this new mysterious Surface Laptop Pro is, and maybe a Surface Pro 8. I mean, it's all coming.
But that said, let's go turn the clock back a bit for our third topic and visit Print Nightmare. If you haven't been following this saga, you might have heard that Microsoft issued a Patch Tuesday fix, which is one of those KB updates that you see in Windows 10. And supposedly, this patch requires administrative privileges for running point and print driver installations and updates. And then this is because someone was able to exploit that ability in Windows 10. Previously, you didn't need this administrator privileges to install drivers via point and print, and this is what could lead to someone taking full control over your system remotely via command prompt and installing all kinds of programs and doing all kinds of bad things and messing up your system. And it's all because of a flaw in the Windows print spooler service. So that is a recap of Print Nightmare, and the patch is supposed to fix that by requiring your admin password whenever you want to install a print driver via the point and print service. But another, we like to call them hacktivists, is what I like to say. They found a flaw in this situation where if you already have the driver handy on a system and you've already installed that bad driver for a remote printer, the person can still gain access into your system without requiring a password. And this is the new issue here with Print Nightmare that's going on. And Microsoft created a new CVE for it, which is a security advisory, and they said that a patch is coming soon. But so it looks here like this is not ending anytime soon. It's been 3 patches already, and this is not going away. And every time they issue a new patch, a security researcher dives deeper and finds another issue. And Microsoft says the only way to stop this new flaw is disabling the print spooler service entirely. And again, that's gonna stop you from printing. So it's a problem in Windows that really needs fixing, and I don't know when it's gonna end.
Yeah, we said all of these great things about hardware coming out, and we still have leaks in the software that could render your hardware vulnerable. So, bottom line is, stop printing things. Just use the cloud. This is how
Use the cloud,
Microsoft. Yeah,
exactly.
this. I'm gonna put on my tinfoil hat and go into conspiracy land with me. Come with me. I believe this is all part of pushing OneDrive and Azure. They're saying, hey, you know what? All of you weirdos out here still physically printing things, there's a big danger out there for you. But if you just start sharing links and sharing things through the drive and through the cloud, don't even have to worry about this. You'll never be vulnerable. I'm taking my hat off now. But I
There
believe, I
is
mean, think about it.
There is a way to get around this without disabling the printer spooling service, and I believe a security researcher, Benjamin Depley, I'm probably saying his name wrong, he has a thread on Twitter where you could use the group policy editor to make it that it would only install printers from authorized servers, and that is the root of the problem here. So if you want to know how to get around all this print nightmare situation, we'll have the link in the comments, and I'll have the B-roll of his tweet, and you could check it out and visit him for more information on how you could stay safe.
Yeah, that's much more productive than my conspiracy theories. I guess we will move on. And
Uh,
to our favorite section.
and now it's time for our week ahead section, which has a lot
Oh,
of
take a
windows.
fast recap. You
Oh,
skipped.
I skipped fast recap. Whoops, I got them out of order this week. But fast recap is all themed towards Windows this week, right?
Yeah, it's a very heavy Windows heavy, and we will get started. You want to put some time on the clock?
I'll give us 10 minutes because everyone loves Windows 10. So I'll give us 10 minutes.
And I'll try and do it in six, starting with revamp Fluent Design. We have a post up, and I believe this is from the Microsoft developers channel once again, where we have a conversation with is it Greg and Christina over in the Windows. What are they called?
Windows developer.
Yeah, Windows developer section, and they're talking back and forth about revamp Fluent Design. So Fluent Design is not gone. Again, we didn't know what to call this new version of branded Windows. We just called it Windows 11, but I guess internally they're just calling it revamp Fluent Design. And they discuss what developers can do in order to take advantage of this new rounded, softer version of Windows versus the Metro flat version slash Fluent Design one. We've seen, as we talked at the top of this podcast about the inbox apps. They discuss what developers who want, to use more design and denser applications can do, how they are slowly pushing this along, and how this won't be, as we would all hope, a kind of one big wave of developer designs. Kind of like how Apple did with Big Sur. Microsoft is trying to tamper expectations, at least with this video and the discussions about it, that this is an ongoing process, as it always has been and always will be from back in Windows 8 days, or Windows 7 to Windows 8, from Windows 8 to Windows 10, from Windows 8.5 or Windows 8.1 to Windows 10, from Windows 10 now to what we're at. So it is constantly changing. We can expect to see new guidelines and new things come up for developers continually, starting.
I think they're calling the new. Ooh, sorry, I have the hiccups. They're calling the new design Mica, if I'm not wrong.
Correct. Yeah. And I mean, I don't know what that stands for.
It's just the way that it looks because it's like that glass mica. Ooh, glass mica marble effect where you have the window behind, and then you see through to the desktop. And they mentioned how it doesn't have enough. You don't need to refresh it constantly compared to regular Windows 10, where the system needs to refresh the wallpaper and refresh the pixels and constantly work in the background to get the pixels right.
Yeah, and this all goes towards, again, not just for design fields and all. This is also part of the Windows engineering to minimize resources being used, to make the
Yep.
operating system faster, to make it smaller, and as far as resources are being used on the device, so that you have more of Windows 11 to use when you're kind of being productive.
And if you don't like the way that Windows 11 you could try Start 11 beta.
Yeah,
I apologize for my hiccups because I have water here and it's not helping them go away. So
that's all good.
if you hear me stutter, that's the reason why. But I'm trying to get
Yeah,
through my sentences.
I
Um,
would say this if you want. Start
yeah, go
11
ahead.
beta for Windows is out. Again, this is basically just bringing the old start menu from Windows 10 to Windows 11,
Yep.
where you can kind of still see, make use of tiles and things of that nature. I believe it can be done in the center mode as well. I mean, like I said, Windows 11 allows you to have a center taskbar or a left aligned taskbar. So again, the start group, I forget the name of the start. Is it Start Doc or Star Doc?
Star Dock.
Yes, they were around to help all of us transition from Windows 7 to Windows 8, and again from Windows 8 to Windows 8.1, and from Windows 8.1 to Windows 10, and they're doing it again with Windows 11. I've have kind of given up on fighting Microsoft and the design changes. So this kind of app doesn't appeal to me. But for those of you who, again, love the way you have everything set up and it's the way you're most productive, it's in beta. So you can go check it out. Maybe we'll have a link here, or you can go to our website and kind of look for the article, and we'll have more information about that.
And then moving on, Microsoft also acquired the Israeli video stream company Peer 5, and they're working to build the technologies that this company worked on into Teams. I believe it has a lot to do with live and on-demand video streaming. So basically, they're trying to boost. Teams was used by the NBA and a lot of other big companies during the pandemic to stream like fans into the stadium. So I believe this is what probably their technology will be used for.
Yeah, we're expecting to see this in a few years come to Teams. And again, you might be scratching your head saying, "Doesn't Teams already do this?" Well, you can always improve the fidelity. You can always
Yep.
improve the compression, the algorithms in which you offer features and feature sets for. Again, these are for enterprise and beyond. So imagine hosting, in a world where we're still dealing with pandemic effects, or people are just realizing that it's it more or it's more financially feasible to host a big conference via telecast and webcast. Now having this as a feature straight in Teams where you can broadcast to hundreds of thousands of people from your laptop, from a desktop versus a whole entire setup, needing 4K streams and all kinds of fiber optics and things like this. That's what we're expecting to see with this Israeli Pure 5 company and, at least what they're bringing to the table.
And now let's jump back from Teams back into Windows 11. See, I was so excited about talking about Windows for the past 30 minutes that I ended up getting the hiccups over Windows. But now now that I had a chance to relax, we're going back
You
to
get a chance to
Windows
breathe,
11.
everybody. Yeah.
And it's also 103 degrees today in New York City, so that doesn't help anything either. But we're
Not
going
helping.
back. We're going back to talk about Windows 11 here, and Microsoft might be allowing you to remove the recommended section of the Windows 11 start menu. Someone on Reddit posted a photo of I believe it's the registry editor, where he tweaked with some things, and he was able to remove the recommended section, so you could just have a whole list of apps on the start menu, leaving you more room to get into your apps, which is more important, right?
Yeah, this is, we mentioned earlier at the top that, people like Paul Thurrott, Rafael Rivera, I mean, people who just use Windows and have used Windows for a long time and have got used to a certain way Windows works, will probably, if this is something that we can all tap into commercially, will be appreciative of this. I mean, not everybody wants to see, you know, some kind of weird app or game that they don't care about being advertised in the start menu. And that's basically what Microsoft is doing. So it's weird that they put that in there because part of making Windows 11 or Windows 10 free was that you'd start to see more advertising, so to speak. So don't get too excited about this coming or being something that normal people could tap into. But it is promising that again, just to take, and it's not a very much, it's just a line or
There's just
so.
a line or two, yeah, a couple
Yeah,
lines.
yeah, line spacing of text. You can add maybe another row of apps or something into. But again, it's just one way to again customize your experience in Windows. Hopefully, we'll all have a chance to kind of try it out.
And I think we finished our fast recap in under 10 minutes or so.
I think
So
so.
I think we did a good job here, which means it's time for our favorite segment, which is Week Ahead. I'll let you get started on your hardware review stuff first, and then I'll jump over to what I have for the week ahead.
Yeah, like I said, I still have the content creative review that I'm doing, and I finish that up. I just need to sit down and actually put together all the pieces I have, all the video footage, all of the screenshots, things like that. Basically, I'm testing out software between DaVinci Resolve, Filmora, Clipchamp, and some other ones to see how productive I can be on a Surface Laptop 4 of all devices in video content creating. I've made a ton of videos using all of these things, and it can be done. The renderings takes forever, but again, for all of the people who say that Macs are for uh, content creation, I would argue that Surface Laptop 4 can get the job done, especially with all of these tools. The other thing I have, like I said, I had mentioned that I have a new smartwatch I'm testing out. This is more of a uh, actual, what do you call it? Not just a heart monitor, but blood pressure monitor. There we go. And it
Ooh.
has a built-in pressure stack inside that allow you to take it. You can automatically set times for it to run. It can also checks uh, oxygen levels. It automatically checks for sleep apnea. If you're asleep, and it'll give you an alarm or buzz to kind of wake you up for things like that. The reason why I was testing it, one, because it has an app for Android. It has a website for on Windows, but and it collects a lot of data. I just want to, I feel like this company is kind of picking up where Microsoft left off with the Microsoft Band.
Yeah.
It also does all the other things as far as like athletic, testing athletics and giving you metrics for that. But it does automatic sleep tracking. I just feel like this is kind of going away from the Wear OS and Apple Watch thing and kind of being the more dedicated thing that Microsoft Band should have been.
And now that you talked about your hardware, let me get into the hardware that I have. I previously reviewed the Surface Duo phone, as you would remember, and now I am reviewing a new phone on the it's a ZTE phone, which is a Chinese brand, but it's meant to take on the Galaxy S21 and the dominance of Samsung in America. This is a Chinese branded phone, but it's powered by full-on Google and Android. You're not getting a cheap Chinese operating system here. This is a phone meant that runs Android, and it has a quad camera array, Qualcomm Snapdragon 888 processor under the hood, 140 hertz seamless display, Wi-Fi 6E and 5G, and guess what? They include a 65-watt fast charger in the box, and it has a
What?
4,600 milliamp battery. And I'm looking forward to reviewing the phone. It is supposed to be coming in next week, and I'm looking forward to switching away from Apple for a week while I test this phone and put it through the whole test. And thanks to ZTE for reaching out to us and sending us that phone.
Did they not get the memo that charges are for hipsters now?
I know, right? And it's bundled in the box.
Oh man.
Apple has no problem leaving out the charger in a box, but if you buy the MagSafe battery pack like I did, they'll send it to you in a huge box, and the MagSafe thing is like this small. So I don't know what's going on here with Apple and their geniuses about environmentally being sustainable.
Well, we'll let them figure that out. And then we have, last but not least, is we're probably expecting to hear some more information and probably a
For Print
final
Nightmare.
patch for Print Nightmare. So stay tuned. If you're a heavy printer and you're worried about your computers possibly getting infected or being taken over, hopefully Microsoft will have a final solution. I shouldn't use that phrase. Maybe they'll have a final answer to Print Nightmare.
Yeah, we expect Print Nightmare to be a thing that's not going to go away for a while until they finally fix it permanently. It'll just be patch after patch after patch for such a basic thing in Windows that has
Until you give up and you just start using OneDrive and Azure.
you just start sending people screenshots of your documents and
Yeah.
resumes instead of like printing them out.
Yeah, hopefully, again, if you're using Azure to be encrypted, so you don't have to even worry about that.
Exactly. But that said, I think we hit all of our topics today, and we thank you for watching as always. And I'll leave you for your traditional outro.
Yeah, you can find me at MindHit1 on Twitter. Where can people find you?
A back journey.
Yeah, and again, if you want any information on the news of the day, news of the week, news of the hour, features, opinion pieces, giveaways, all kinds of gaming information, our gaming editor Lorenz, very on it. I think he's got some reviews and stuff coming up. You can all find all that on Microsoft on Twitter. That's very simple. I don't believe we do Instagram or anything like that as of yet, so just look for us on Twitter. Again, we're glad that you guys spent a little bit of time with us today and hope you guys have a great weekend.
Yeah, thanks for watching, guys, and see you again soon. Same place, same time.
Stay safe